Hey guys, welcome to another episode of 12 Yards Out with my co host Praddy. And today we're going to bring you the reactions from the greatest of nights, the Liverpool versus Madrid Champions League final.
Was it really the greatest of nights? Well, as a Liverpool fan, I beg to differ, but yeah, I mean, it was everything we kind of predicted. It was goals.
Yeah,
There was
controversy.
definitely controversy, and we will bring you a recap of everything that happened during those special 90 minutes in Kiev.
In Kiev, yes. Okay, so today we're basically going to go through a chronological explanation or reaction to the events that unfolded in the awesome 90 minutes from the day. And let's start. Let's start with, first of all, we have the team lineup that came out.
Yeah, I think from a Liverpool's perspective, there was nothing that was surprising. I think we went with what had worked throughout the competition. Karius on goal.
Yep.
Then the four at the back, which is Trent Alexander-Arnold, Dejan Lovren, Virgil van Dijk, and Andrew Robertson. And I think the midfield three, we were obviously missing Oxlade-Chamberlain, so we went with Jorginho Wijnaldum, Jordan Henderson, and James Milner. And I don't think we could ever experiment with the front three, which is the usual Sadio Mane, Roberto Firmino, and Mohamed Salah. I don't think there was much of a surprise even with the Real Madrid lineup.
Yeah.
I think Bale was probably the only person that people thought might have started, given that
he hasn't. It's been good in the finals. It's just Zidane's always had this sort of side eye to Bale and not really brought him into the team, and he hasn't. He just has, and hopefully that works out for us, United. But that's another video.
That's another video. But I think for us, it was good to not see Bale in the starting lineup. He poses a lot of problem in terms of pace and his tactical prowess in terms of scoring. But it was interesting I think Isco was obviously the normal choice for a final, given that he can link up play, and the midfield, you needed to, as I told you before, it was going to be a battle of midfield, and if you have 4 versus 3, you're kind of going to do better than 3 versus 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think there were any surprises as such. The only exception being probably Bale. But otherwise, I think it was pretty much as expected.
Yeah, and it was something that we even predicted or thought about in the previous video, that it was, like you said, a battle of midfield, and that's something that we wanted to keep an eye out for, look out for. And we imagined that might be somewhere that Liverpool might struggle a bit, compared with Real Madrid's amazing midfield. You've got Kroos, you've got Modric, you've got Isco. It's such a strong team over there. It's just, we know from experience, having played them in the Super Cup final, that it's not easy to play with those guys. So yeah, that was exciting. It seemed like a good matchup so far at that point. And then let's get into the game.
Yeah. So let's talk about the first 25 minutes before the big controversy. So I think I was so impressed by the way Liverpool started. You would think that, being the inexperienced of the lot, you would think that they would kind of sit back, kind of assess everything. But Klopp, he's gonna go gung ho.
Yeah, it's not right. Yeah, I get it. It's not Liverpool's strength to sit back, right? And it was something that that hit me. That I was like, this is Real Madrid. This is the team that's won the last how many ever Champions League titles, and these guys are taking the fight to them. And I love seeing that. I love seeing that in a I'm kind of scared kind of way, but it was very interesting to watch.
Because they've won until that day, they'd won 3 out of the 4. In the past 4 years, and you'd seen them only battle against the likes of Atletico Madrid, who like to sit back, and Juventus, who's more tactically defensive. So it was interesting to go to see them kind of face somebody who was on par with them, or who, in terms of the type of football, play exactly the same, attack, defensively kind of weak, and you
Prone to mistakes, prone to errors. Yeah.
yeah, and
Right. And
you kind of like probably Madrid sit back a little more so that they can counter attack. Liverpool just go pressing, pressing, pressing,
Yeah.
team pressing, gegen pressing, and it was interesting to see. And I think of the first 25 minutes, we could have had a goal. Roberto Firmino's first touch was terrible at one
Yes.
point. I
Yes.
thought
That one.
Alexander,
Yeah.
I thought of all people, Alexander
I know.
scored, and I was
I was like, my reaction then was like, please no, if this happened, they would rip apart United. Like, Marshall and Rashford would get so much shit because this guy who's like came from nowhere is now scoring in the Champions League final. I was like, please don't let Alexander Arnold score a goal. And like, thankfully, the guy actually stopped the shot. So good stuff. Keylor Navas, like, keep Kevin Keylor Navas. Forget about De Gea, guys. He's a good goalkeeper. But yeah, that was really scary for me as a United fan. Not so that I don't want Arnold to actually score. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, so the first 25 minutes you could see Salah attacking, Mane attacking, Firmino attacking. I think even our midfield was bossing it. I mean, seriously, they were pressing. They were Modric, Casemiro, Cruz, who had never it was feeling like one of the La Liga games this season for Real Madrid, where they've kind of been under pressure. They haven't done too well. I think in the first couple of minutes when Ronaldo was against Lovren, I was a little skeptical. I was like, ooh, I mean, I would have had Van Dijk kind of take over with Ronaldo, but I was a little skeptical, but I was really impressed by the way we were pressing, and I was like, whoa, is this actually a final? Are we actually not feeling nerves? I love the way we were going. And then I think on the 25th or 31st minute or something, and then
yeah, I mean, I was really impressed by Liverpool's fullbacks. They were doing so well. They were doing so well. It was just taking. It was almost like they enveloped the whole of Real Madrid's team, you know. And yeah, then we get to the sad and sort of, you know, eye-watering event that kind of ruined it for everybody. You know, I'm sure it destroyed you as a Liverpool fan. Like, I can't even begin to imagine how difficult that must have been. But, you know, just for the neutral even, it was just that took so much of the steam out of the game, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been waiting for this moment for 10 years. So you can imagine that when we win the finals, I was hoping at least we'd have a good fight. I didn't mind Real Madrid, like, kind of dominating. They've done that for the past 3 years or 4 years or whatever. But to kind of have God kind of say that, Salah, no, this is not your night. I mean, I was just heartbroken. I was like, the moment he cried, I was crying so much. And I was with my friend who's a Madrid supporter, and he said, guy, I know this is bad, but I didn't want this to happen this way. And I'm like, how cruel can the game be? I mean, this guy's he scored 44 goals. He's come up to this moment. He's brought our team to this moment. And he's like, and you kind of take it away in the second.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, why? I mean, like, why, God? Why? I mean, like, I'm not like saying God, but like, why would you, why would fate?
Why does...
The game it's a cruel game. You know, it's just, things happen, and you know, it's not fair sometimes. It's not fair. It's not.
You build this up as a whole Ronaldo versus Salah thing. Let it be that way. I mean, why would fate come in and say, Salah, this is not your day? And I'm like, I was just like heartbroken. More than anything else, I was heartbroken by the fact that this guy had worked so much hard. He had brought our team kind of single-handedly to this place, and to have it ripped apart, and the way he cried, and we'll come to the controversy in a second, but the way he cried and he walked off the pitch, and I was like, why would you do something like that? Why was fate so miserable to Salah?
It was heartbreaking to watch that. Yeah, you're right. It really was. I mean, it was for everybody. It was for everybody who loves the game. I think I speak for everybody, even someone who hates Liverpool. It was a moment. It was a letdown. That final deserved better. But let's say it's...
Yeah, as a United fan, or as any general fan, you'd want a fair fight. You never want
exactly.
You don't want a best player to kind of get sick. It's kind of like when Portugal had Ronaldo kicked off. It was sad. Obviously, France didn't take care of that situation. They weren't as clinical. But it was... I mean, this Madrid team knows how to win, and with Salah gone, it kind of took the morale out of everybody in the team, and everyone is
really
like,
did.
like we've work so hard for this moment? Why would you take it away from us?
Yeah, it's not just, the thing is, I mean, that's an interesting point, because it's not just about the most powerful or the person who almost single-handedly dragged your team to the Champions League leaving. It's the fact that seeing that someone who's that vital to a team walk off the field in tears, that had to have destroyed the morale for the rest of the team. And you could see that. You can see the next moments after that, until halftime, how the whole team completely deflated. It from throwing the attack, from taking it to Real Madrid, it went completely away in the other side.
Like for the first
But
25
yeah.
minutes, I had belief. I actually had belief that we
Yeah,
could take it to
I
this
was
Madrid
scared.
team. And the moment the Salah went off, I was like, and I told my friend as well, I was like, I think the game's over. And he said, yeah, but I don't want it to end this. And he's a staunch Madrid
Yeah,
supporter. And he's
right.
like, I don't want it to end this way, because I wanted it to
Yeah.
be such a fair fight, because Salah versus Ronaldo is how this game was built up. And if you take off one half of the
Right.
equation, it's kind of like, why did you do that?
I know. So let's say Fate didn't do this. Ramos did.
Yeah, so that's a lot of controversy whether he did it. Okay, I'm gonna.
So I'm of the opinion, and I'll go with my. I'm probably not the most level-headed in this sense, but I have my theories. I do believe that there was definitely an intention to bring him down. Like, he didn't. It wasn't an accident. Like, he definitely locked arms, and he was like, he knew that if you let Salah get away, things can change like this, and he knew that. He knew that he had to bring him down, and maybe the extent of the consequences that unfolded wasn't his intent, but maybe I think he was dead on, locked on, targeted, and sure that he wanted to bring Salah down at that moment. He knew that he had to be on top of him. He knew that he had to be fouling the guy. And well,
Yeah, okay.
and I think this is the legacy of Mourinho. So this Mourinho team, Mourinho has built a team of people who the best word is Machiavellian, I would say. Use all the tools that you have at your disposal to win a game, right? And he's done that time and time again. Like, even with United against Chelsea last year, we targeted Hazard and, like, one after the other fouled him again and again and again, because we could not let a team star player go down. When Mourinho was with Real Madrid, he used to target Messi. And now you have a Messi like Egyptian Messi basically playing the other team, and I'm sure somebody who's been ingrained in the philosophy of Mourinho had that at the back of his mind, that he's got to try to bring this guy down, and yeah, that's what happened.
I would go a different way. So, I mean, if to people who are listening for the first time, I do support Madrid in the La Liga. I don't really. I'm a Liverpool supporter first and foremost. I do support Madrid over Barcelona in La Liga, but in this match, my loyalties stick to Liverpool and have always been. And I might sound biased, but okay, let me try and make it as unbiased as possible. Salah, while trying to get the ball kind of protected, trying to prevent Ramos by locking his hands into Ramos. And I understand that's part of football, that happens. But the problem is, once he knew he was losing it, Salah kind of let his arm go. You could see his arm being stretched out fully. And Ramos held on to that point and dragged him down. And
Dragged him down, yeah.
that was the point where I had an issue with Ramos over, I mean, the whole thing. And you might say it may not be a foul, and I fully might agree with you, but it's very difficult in such a situation. But if you could actually see the video, Ramos holds his hand and drags him down. And now you say that it wasn't that arm that was injured, but the other arm. But when you pull someone like that, you kind of take him down, and then when you fall onto him, you obviously injure his arm. I completely agree with your point that the the dislocation of the arm was not intentional. It was an accident as a result. But Ramos's intent to take out Salah from the game was probably there.
Was clear, yeah.
Now, if you Madrid fans are listening, you're probably going to say, "Oh, how can you say something like that?" And sometimes there is the old saying in football that reputation kind of precedes your what you've done, and it happens. I'm a Liverpool supporter, so I know from first hand Suarez has done that same thing, so diving, and when he's actually received a penalty, I completely agree. Sometimes reputation does harm a person's this thing. But if you actually see it, the way he said, he didn't actually apologize to Salah, but went onto the touchline and started laughing with the linesman. Whereas you could see Ronaldo, who actually knows the pain of missing a final, go up to Salah and say, "I'm sorry," like kind of console him, try to console him. It was that little difference where you kind of knew that Ramos, you little piece of shit. I don't care. I'm going to call him at least. I'm a Spain supporter as well, and I'm going to support Spain in the World Cup. So you know my loyalties are going to be really difficult. But you, Ramos, you piece of shit. Like you didn't even try to console him after you knew that his arm was dislocated and one of the biggest players. You were laughing, and I got really pissed off. I don't care which Madrid supporter says that, which Madrid supporter supports Ramos for that. If this is the kind of game that you're bringing, I know you're the master of the dark arts, like Harry Potter for some reason. But if you try to show that this is the game that we love, I'm sorry, I'm not going to support you. I will support the team. I will support Madrid when they're playing in the La Liga or playing some other team except for Liverpool. But I will hope that you kind of get your karma. Okay.
All right. So we both here at 12 Yards Out are of the opinion that this was intentional, that this controversy swings to the side of intent from Ramos as being a dick. So if anybody, any Real Madrid fan who thinks otherwise, or any fan who thinks otherwise, and who thinks that we're just crazy conspiracy theories with the tinfoil hats on, message, comment below, and tell us why we're wrong. Right? We'll take you up on the argument. We're here. Prove us wrong that this was not intentional. Anyway, so then we move on to the period of time after which the game deflated, went to halftime, and how what was your feeling at that time, Brad? Like, what did you expect at halftime?
Before we go there, I think we missed one thing, which is Dani Carvajal getting injured. As a Spain supporter, I was a little skeptical, saying that, "Ooh, this doesn't look like hamstring is never an easy injury to take." But if Madrid supporters are going to say, "Oh, Salah got injured, Dani Carvajal got injured,"
that doesn't even the odds. Okay, that does not even the odds. Like Ronaldo and Salah, that's the level playing field. You put these two on a seesaw, doesn't equal each other.
And I mean, if Ronaldo got injured, then I can understand your comment. But if Dani Carvajal, really, you haven't played him against Bayern, you still won. Seriously. So please do not bring that up. That Dani Carvajal is like the most important player in your team. You still had Nacho, who probably who does better than Dani Carvajal at this moment. But at halftime, it was 0-0, and I had actually lost hope since Salah left, but I was like, if we can take this to 90 minutes equal, and if we go to penalties, maybe
yeah. You could see their form of attack change, right? Like you had Salah on the right side attacking, and Mane sort of in a bit more withdrawn role on the left, covering for Salah going so forward, and then that sort of changed, and you had Mane move to the right, and him poking and prodding the front, the defense of Madrid, and you could see the change. It wasn't as effective, obviously, for sure, but you still have a gem in your hands. Like Mane is a pretty strong attacker himself, so there was still hope. Like I still felt like there was a chance that Liverpool could nick it, because they were still pressing. The game was not over yet.
So the thing with Mane is that the only problem with Mane that I have is that he plays direct. Okay, unlike Salah, who has the trickery and the what was it? The pizzazz kind of thing to kind of run away,
weave his way through defense. Yeah, totally.
The thing was with Mane, Marcelo kind of knew that he's going to go direct, so you kind of had a thing. And with Adam Lallana coming in just from injury, he's not the best player to take over Salah right now. Had it been Adam Lallana last season, I would still be more confident, but he's just coming out of a long-term injury. I wouldn't expect him to run full gung-ho, given that World Cup is also coming. He's been desperate to kind of get in. He's on the standby. I wasn't too surprised that he didn't go all guns blazing running at the defense, but like Mane, Mane is the next best threat to after Salah. Firmino is brilliant, but you need to kind of supply him. You need to. I mean, he's good at pressing and then kind of getting the ball and then supplying it to his wife. He's kind of the perfect copy of Benzema. Only thing I think he does it a little better. And but the thing is, if you've lost one, you've only got one person to deal with. So Ramos and Marcelo.
Yeah.
If you deal with Mane, it's like Lallana is still not fully.
Like the three-pronged attack became blunted to just one. That was the biggest. They knew where to focus all their resources, so it became a much easier job for Real Madrid to deal with Liverpool's attack then, which I agree. But it still seemed like an equal game. Still, like there was a 50-50 chance of what was going on. Real Madrid was attacking too. They had good chances. Okay, so let's start with the second half now, which was. Okay, so I was watching with a friend of mine actually. So this is my personal story. And right then, he had to take a shit real bad. So this guy goes to the toilet for 15 minutes. The 15 minutes. Okay, so let's recount what happens in these 15 minutes. Let's start. First, we have.
So first we have the first mistake of the night. As I told you, this match was going to be decided on how many mistakes each side makes, and unfortunately, Liverpool made the first mistake with after Karius getting a goal kick. So the moment he turned left and he was aiming at Virgil van Dijk, I was like, yeah, pass it to him. But for some reason, he turned right and he's like, I'll give it to Dejan Lovren. I was like, why? Left is so free. Why didn't you pass it to him? And the moment he threw the ball, Benzema, for some reason, turned on his brain for tonight, and he put his leg in, and it deflected into the goal. And Karius, Dejan Lovren, Virgil van Dijk were kind of arguing against the goal. I have no clue why.
Why would you even?
It was a proper goal.
That makes no sense.
It was a proper goal.
Yeah.
You dumb jackass. You saw Virgil van Dijk free in the first place. And I'm sorry, I mean, Karius has done well for us in the Champions League. He's probably, I think, the only person with the most clean sheets or whatever. But you saw Virgil van Dijk free. You saw Benzema move to the right. Pass it to Virgil van Dijk. He's our best defender. Why would you turn around and pass it there? It was probably the first brain freeze of the night, and that unfortunately resulted in the first goal. And I actually was sarcastically clapping at Karius after it because I was really pissed off. We had done so well.
Like, what were you thinking, man? You know, it was just like, why would you even take that risk? This is Champions League. This is the final of the biggest competition in club football. And this is a chance that Liverpool hasn't had forever. And you all you had to do was keep your brain switched on for half a second longer.
Yeah.
But that speaks to how the magnitude of every single action in the game that we all love. To how one little thing can ruin a year's worth of hard work. Yeah. Well, not yet ruin, but can dismantle or put yourself at a back foot. You know.
People kind of say inexperience counts, but it's not inexperience. It's just common sense. You wouldn't want to pass it where the forward is, right? You look the other way, pass it there, or for fuck's sake, just fucking kick it out, man. Just kick it out.
Swear, just
like,
anything,
kick it
man,
forward.
Like
anything. Like, why would you try and do? You're not the Victor Valdez of the old Barcelona days where you play from the back. We've seen how
exactly.
Why would you try and do that? And I was livid. I was disappointed. I was like, you've already taken Salah from us. Why would you make this mistake again? I mean,
I had the time of my life. I was laughing my ass off. That 5 minutes was just like me just dying. Like, yes, this is so typical Liverpool. Like, do all this and then shit the bed from like the dumbest mistake you could possibly do. So for me personally, it was amazing. I was having just the grandest old time. But all of that got destroyed right after with Liverpool's amazing and awesome response.
Yeah.
To being kicked down.
Of all people, Sadio Mane scored. Oh, Mane, ta-da-da-da-da-da. So, I mean, he scored. I was ecstatic. My friend who was on the other line had gone to the washroom at that point, and I was screaming, and I think loud. that his brother-in-law basically told him when he's coming out, he's like, they scored. And I was like, "Ah, come on." I'm like, yes, please just don't do anything else. Let it be one. Manage with it.
So your friend had gone to the washroom. This whole time, my friend is still taking his nice happy dump. Like, it's like, oh, nothing's gonna happen. This game's gonna be fine.
So that happened, and it was 1-1, and you could hear the
Yeah,
Liverpool supporters. You could feel that there were 10
Yeah.
times as many Liverpool supporters as
Louder.
there were Madrid supporters. They were singing
Yeah.
"You'll Never Walk Alone." They were singing "Oh Mane
Yeah.
Mane," and I was
Yeah.
and they were starting to attack. And Mane, I think, hit the crossbar after that as well. So I was like, okay, just maybe there might be a
momentum
slight
is-
chance that you at least take it to the 90th minute and keep it like that.
Right, the momentum was on their side. It really was, and it was scary. Like watching the game and hearing how loud and how ecstatic the Liverpool supporters were, and I was worried again, like that this was going to swing back in the other side again, and then Zidane does what Zidane does and bring on the one and only Gareth Bale.
Yeah. At the moment he came on, my memories just went back to the Tottenham days, and I was like, oh, I remember him shooting from so hard. I remember shooting him from like him shooting from like 30 yards out and scoring against him. I was like, oh shit, why you? Because my friend and I were having this discussion who they were going to bring down, and we said Vasquez and Asensio, and we were like, because they had to make that change for Danny Carvajal because of the injury, Nacho. So we said maybe he does Vasquez, and he does Asensio, because those are the two that he normally trusts. And the moment he brought on Bale, and I was like, can we cope up with his pace? Because
tactically, yeah, that was very interesting to see, because what I love about Zidane is people say he doesn't have that tactical mindset, but it was a perfect example of explaining it. Well, what we know is Liverpool is a team that plays with high energy, high pace, heavy metal football, as he likes to call it. But the consequence of playing in such a way is that you lose energy. You expend so much of it at such a high pace right after starting halves, that he knew that towards the second half of the second half, Liverpool is going to get more drained. They're going to get slower. They're going to get more tired, and they're going to be more.
I would kind of disagree. I think of all the teams that play that kind of football, we are more suited, and we kind of keep that energy levels for quite some time. But the only issue is that given that Salah had been sent off, not sent off, but injured, and Madrid had a lot of the possession, that's the problem. The thing is, with most matches, when Salah and all of that, we have a lot of possession with the ball. So we are okay with pressing, because the opposition rarely gets that chance of having possession. But with Madrid, with Salah gone, the likes of Modric, Casemiro, Cruz had enough time on the ball to kind of play around, which would make our midfield chase around. So that's the
point I'm making. Yeah,
the shift of momentum, the shift of midfield kind of caused this whole thing of us being drained out faster than we would normally be.
Well, not just particularly to this game. I think any team that Liverpool plays that plays with a lot of possession or tries to move the ball around, Liverpool spend most of their time chasing it, that towards the later halves of the game they do get tired of. Which was, again, a perfect example of this game where, they are going. This is one of the best midfields in the world. They are going to get tired chasing the ball for such a long time. And also now you could see that the momentum was on the other side. So Liverpool was going gung-ho again and again and again. And Zidane knew the trick here to do was to take the game the other way. They're going to get tired out soon. Let's use our pace. Let's take in Gareth Bale, who can actually... Even if you need... Okay, it's a twofold advantage. One, you could counter-attack if you need to with his pace and his ability on the ball. And also you've got, taking advantage of their, exhaustion. And it worked out in such a beautiful way.
Yeah.
I
think nothing more beautiful than the second goal, which was... actually, to be honest, I was streaming it, and... my stream had just ended when he's kind of scored that goal, and I was like,
no.
Well, I was like, thank God I didn't. I was spared that the goal, but like, so now you've got a comparison between Zlatan Ibrahimovic's bicycle kick. You've got Ronaldo's bicycle kick against Juventus.
Yeah.
And now you have Gareth Bale on the biggest stage scoring that.
Right, it was like the perfect response to, oh, Ronaldo, you're gonna score in the semis. You know what? I let me show you how to do it on the big stage and why I deserve to have a place in this team. Watching that, I was like, see, this is why I wanted United to go for him. This is why I wanted him to talk. And this is why I wanted. Anyway, again, let me not digress. That's another topic for another video. And it just made me so excited to see this perfect response to another teammate that he's been competing with in his own team.
I think. I mean, that was the perfect response. Ronaldo was not having a good night. I think I have to commend Liverpool's defense that way to kind of contain him. But it's kind of difficult when you have a superstar like Gareth Bale in your bench to come on, and then you have to take care of not only Ronaldo but Gareth fucking Bale. But credit goes to Gareth Bale for that goal. I mean, he wanted to make a statement to Madrid saying, like beep you for not making me play or start this Champions League or not making me play 90 minutes in most of the challenge. I'm going to take my chances. I'm going to show you what I'm worth, and I'm going to score the biggest goal in
the most
in Real Madrid's career.
The most important one. Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, the only better goal that he scored that night was the Marc Bartra against Barcelona, where he ran past him.
That was.
I would love watching that video again.
I would have that on loop. That's such a beautiful goal.
Yeah.
So this is the point that my friend actually walked back in, and he's like, "What happened? The game? What's going on? What just happened? I left and it was 0-0." So I kind of felt bad for him on one end, but then he still got the chance to see. No, he did. He still got the chance to see exactly what had happened before. An amazing Gareth Bale goal, and a completely idiotic Karius mistake. He got the chance to see a summary of what had happened the last 15 minutes prior, with the goal that gave Gareth Bale his brace.
Yeah,
that was a beautiful goal in itself. Just again, unbelievable to see what.
I mean, the second goal
is possible. Yeah. No, Gareth Bale's second goal. So the third goal in Real Madrid.
I mean, okay. So that we come to the second mistake where the Karius was. I think he was in the perfect position to kind of get it. And the cynical in me was like, he's gonna mess it up, and he kind of did. And the sarcastic clapping started again.
One more
time. I was. So the thing was when he shot the. When he shot the ball from whatever 40, 30 yards, 35 yards, whatever, I was expecting. I mean, it's a simple thing, right? I've seen this happen in Roma before when Kolarov shot it and Karius kind of lost his footing, hit it onto the bar.
He's a keeper. I'm sorry.
I was just like bewildered. I was like, come on, guys. I mean, I know, fine, 2-1. At least let it be 2-1. Why 3-1? I mean, come on. Like, I would have been okay with 2-1. Why would you make another mistake? And you would say that to me, Karius' confidence kind of went down after the first mistake. After like, oh, I've already made this mistake. I need to be more careful. I need to be more this thing. And when you overthink a little more, no, but when you overthink some more, that I have to be perfect because I've already made one mistake. When you overthink that much, you kind of make another blunder, and then.
I get what you mean, but that was just like, even if you're making a blunder, it was almost as if he went under the ball and pushed it back into the goal. This was something that he should be making 99 out of 100 times. If he is a goalkeeper of supposedly one of the top 4 Premier League sides, he needs to be on a different level than this. This is relegation team shit. Like even relegation team keepers, Butland and all are better than this, right? You cannot do this on the biggest stage in football.
I mean, at the end of the day, I don't feel too bad because
if he can't deal with pressure, if he's inexperienced, then here comes another thing. I would start blaming Klopp. If this guy is someone who can't stand up on the biggest stage and make a simple save such as this, or can have his mentality break down in such a way, it's Klopp's decision to not put somebody as inexperienced on such a big stage.
But then the thing with Klopp is that he's never had Karius be on such a stage, so he doesn't know. You'd expect the goalie to be mentally strong. So now that he's effed up, you kind of you'd expect Klopp to kind of go back into the transfer market and look for someone who's more experienced, who's got a little more sense, and who doesn't break down so easily. The other option that we have is Mignolet, so I wouldn't blame Klopp for going for Karius. Okay, so, truly, and Karius's his record in the Champions League has been decent. He's got probably until the final or whatever had the most number of clean sheets, and he's done well. He's done actually quite well. I would say nerves probably is a reason, and well, if you say inexperience, and you can't really blame Klopp. Klopp put his best side out. He expected this side to kind of do well. The one thing with Mohamed Salah and whatever, but with Karius, he understands a little more better now that fine, Karius is probably not the best person to have for
See,
a
like,
Champions.
For an example, why I personally would blame Klopp is if this is like my baseline is Mourinho. I compare that to Mourinho, and this is one of the reasons why I understand Mourinho's lack of choosing youth sometimes. When it comes to big things, when it comes to a team where winning is such an important part of the deal, he goes with experience. He goes with somebody who may not be as, like, if you were comparing Mignolet and Karius, the choice the choice is given to Mourinho, he would have chosen Mignolet. He would have.
That it's about
Really,
mentality. It's
but
about
the thing with Mignolet is that he's not had game time, so it's kind of putting the a frog into a lion's den or something like. I'm sorry for my analogy,
no,
but
I get
yeah,
that.
but
Yeah.
but it's kind of like Karius has had so much of game time in the Champions League. He's had in the Premier League. He's done well. Why wouldn't you do that? I mean, with Mourinho right now.
Also, like, okay, so then the conversation deals to how much of Karius doing well was because of him saving the goals in the stages of Champions League, and how much was it depending on how well Liverpool didn't let shots come to the goal, like how well they took the attack to the other team.
Well, not only that, but you'd say how well is our defense? Our defense is Lovren and Van Dijk. Van Dijk has probably strengthened our defense more. It's kind of making the same deal with the same debate over Petr Cech. When you had him in Chelsea, he hardly let in, but that's probably because you had the best centre back pairing, which is John Terry and Gary Cahill.
I mean, it's
the
a little
moment he
different for
went to
Liverpool,
Arsenal,
but
I would attribute Liverpool's defensive prowess to the attack than actually the defense. It's a good defense, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't say that the reason why they face less shots is because of how good the centre back pairing is, but more so how good the attack is, that they keep taking the game to the other end of the field.
No, but we're talking about Karius and how good Karius is.
Yeah.
We don't really know because
which is what I'm saying. Which is like how much can you attribute Karius's ability to stop the goals to him actually stopping him by his own hand, and how much to Liverpool taking the game to the other side.
I would say that his Karius is decent because our defensive pairing has Lovren in it. You do know how bad Lovren can be. So if he can kind of stop most of those goals, see, I completely agree. Karius is not the person that we can take in and say that he's our number one.
Okay, let me put this.
Yeah.
Put it this way: would you want next season? Would you want to go out looking for another keeper next season, or will you trust Karius to grow in his role?
No, I would keep Karius as a backup, but I would definitely go for a proper goalkeeper. Either we go for Alisson or we go for Jan Oblak. I would definitely go for these two. Mignolet is out of the squad. I do not even know. He's only there on Facebook and Twitter and on Instagram, replying to comments and pictures. He has to go. The problem is Karius. I like Karius. He is a little experienced, but you need someone who can who can take the number one spot, and that is someone like Alisson.
You want to go? Yeah, that makes sense. I agree. So you mean like it does need to be strengthened
if you want to be challenged for the biggest.
I think after the 3-1, the game was kind of done, and well, congratulations to Madrid for probably their third on the trot and 4 in 5 years. This is arguably probably the greatest European football team since I would say AC Milan from the late 90s to early 2000s, mid 2000s. They didn't win so many in that short span, but they won 5. So AC Milan and Real Madrid are probably the two biggest two teams that really have dominated the Champions League competition.
Sure. Yeah, I guess in a way I agree. But the fact that this team could do so much in such a short period of time might give them the edge, in my opinion. I mean, I like to look at AC Milan in a nostalgic way. I love them. I just love that team. Like seriously, just beautiful.
I can't find one fault in that team in saying like, oh, this person is the weakest link. I cannot.
Yeah, you just can't. It's like such an overpowered team.
As far as well as Madrid have done, I can say that their defense hasn't been the best. But in the AC Milan team, I cannot find one fault.
That's a good point because that's a good point because you can say that there are doubts. This is the point. You can point at that one and say there's a weak link here. We can attack that part of Madrid or use this thing that they're weak at. But you can't with that team. So they are a contender for one of the greatest teams. We're seeing history live. We're being part of it.
Seeing history being made. We've seen them win 3 on the trot, which has never been done before. Whether they can do 4 with an aging side, I doubt. They need some new recruits.
They need recruits, and hopefully Salah will be one of them.
You will love that. I doubt it this year, at least. I doubt it this year.
This season.
So it's going to be either Salah, Hazard, or Lewandowski, right?
I think Hazard is the best bet given the whole Belgium-French connection kind of thing with Zizou.
Yeah.
Zizou is definitely keeping his job now. I mean, Perez cannot fire him, basically. If he had lost it, there was still a chance, but I don't think Perez can fire him. And, I think... I mean, they deserve it. Unfortunately, it was more from our errors, and that's a regret. They won because of our errors and not their own brilliance. And I mean, Salah also going off, but it'll be interesting to see where we are next year. We have a chance to face Madrid in the group stage itself, but I would kind of be happy if we don't.
Oh, you're part 3, right?
Yeah, part 3 right now.
From being from almost being the champions
to part 3. Yeah.
To part 3.
It's sad, but in a way, I don't mind. We're at least not doing the whole qualifying thing again. We'll go straight to group stages, so it'll be.
And there is promise for the future, considering the targets that Klopp has gone for.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that stuff be ready for it. We will be bringing out a whole other video on the transfer targets for every different team, and how they're going to help plug the holes of their teams and how they will strengthen them to challenge for wherever the ambition lies. Yeah,
we'll get our friends who support different teams to talk about what their opinions are, because I'm pretty sure you'll be tired. We won't be the best judge of what each team wants, but we will get friends and fellow football enthusiasts to talk about who's good for their team, what position is best that they require, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we'll probably bring a couple of other videos which hopefully we won't tell you what it is, but we hopefully believe that those will be worthwhile, and we hope that you will tune in to our podcast once again.
Yep. And it was great having everybody and whoever listened in. And as always, we would love if you guys gave us our feedback, comment, like, share, and subscribe. Please let us know where we were wrong and where we were right. Right most of the time. But if you want to take us up on our opinions or ones that you think are not right, fight me.
Yeah, right. You can comment and we'll definitely fight you on that. I think we've put in our opinions on this. I'm pretty sure there are different opinions, especially on the controversies that happen and whatever. Yeah, but we feel that we've given an unbiased account. I mean, I'm pretty sure I don't want to be unbiased. Try to be as unbiased as I can, despite one of my teams being playing in the Champions League. But we would love to hear from you, and we look forward to seeing you soon. So see ya. Yeah. So take care. Bye bye. Have a good night. Yeah. And, or good morning, depending on where you are. So bye bye. Bye bye.